The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, or more aptly, as I like to call it, The Picture of Dorian Gay. Because let's admit it, a lot of people had the hots for Dorian. Basil, Lord Henry, pretty much everyone, Sybil, but all homoerotic subtext aside, or not so subtext, just text. It's easy to read this novel and just think that it's only commenting on the weakness of human nature and how easily people are led astray, because Dorian was so easily convinced by Lord Henry to be cynical and a hedonist, and to pursue worldly pleasures, and he just basically ignored Basil when Basil tried to convince him that he was better than that. But I think a lot of people forget that just because Dorian was weak, it doesn't undermine how strong Basil was as a character, because Dorian might have fallen prey to Lord Henry's philosophies, but Basil has known Lord Henry for who knows how long, and Basil has never become like that. He's been very true to his art, very much the angel to Dorian and Lord Henry's devil. In this way, the novel is very balanced in how it portrays human nature. Yes, it's warning us not to become like Dorian, not to give in to our darkest desires and to ruin our souls, but it's also kind of warning us not to be like Basil either, this oblivious optimist who indirectly helped Dorian become the monster he was. Those two extremes are not what people should be striving for. We should be striving for something in between. It's a lot like an Icarus sort of situation where we don't want to be flying so high that the sun melts the wax from our wings and we fall from grace like Dorian did, but we also don't want to be flying so low that we are swallowed by the sea like Basil was. Basil was pure, but in the end, he didn't gain anything either. He didn't gain anything from being the angel on Dorian's shoulder. He lost his muse, he lost his life. So these two extremes, they aren't what people want in life. People should try to be a little bit of both, allow themselves to give in to some indulgences sometimes. We're only human, but we also need to do it in moderation and know when is enough is enough. Dorian's fall also brings it back to a lot of religious imagery where he could be seen as Lucifer when he fell from heaven, because Lucifer was the most beautiful of God's angels and Dorian is the most beautiful man people have ever seen. And not only did he fall himself, but he brought all of his followers down with hell with him. So that kind of relates to how Dorian influenced all of those young men and they became ruined after they met him, like Alan Campbell and Sybil. But with all of Oscar Wilde's warnings comes a beacon of hope as well, in the form of the Duchess of Monmouth. He was the only character who could verbally and mentally keep up with Lord Henry and match him wit for wit, and that seems to be symbolic of combating the sort of corruption that tends to spread through people. The Duchess of Monmouth was a very dynamic character who represented a lot of hope in the story because she was very strong and very strong-willed, and she also added an unexpected feminist flair. Even though she never even had a first name, she held a lot of power within the book with her very clever bantering with Lord Henry, and she showed that she kind of represented the top of the top. She had the intelligence to take over the world, and ultimately the Duchess of Monmouth, although she came a little bit out of left field, she reminded us that even though there's evil in the world, there's still good. You don't have to be a perfect angel like Basil was. You just have to be a little smart and know your values and just stick to them no matter what anyone else says. You have to have a very strong sense of self, and she did, and she was easily the most dynamic character in the novel. All in all, me and Mochi gave this 8 out of 10 stars. Ooh. Good themes, good life lessons, awesome Duchess of Monmouth, kind of whiny Dorian. Lord Henry talked too much and about the same cynical things. There was that one chapter where all it talked about was Dorian's different hobbies, which was kind of strange. But overall, not bad. Good read.